Over the last week, the crypto market has looked rather weird, to say the least. Bitcoin's price has not really done anything, going sideways for nearly 11 days straight, but altcoins are performing decently well. You have some things like Cake and some things like the Sonic token and many more, anywhere from pumping from 30 to 50%, leaving a lot of investors wondering what in the world is going on. Why is Bitcoin not moving? Why are some random altcoins pumping? And when is all of this going to end? And so in today's video, what I want to do is I want to break those two questions down for you. Why is this happening? And when do I think it's going to end? And so, with that said, we have a lot to unpack today. So, let's not waste any more time at all and let's get straight into it. Now, when we do jump into what is happening here in the crypto market, let's start off with coin market cap so you can see what I'm showing you. What you can see is that Bitcoin is currently up around 1% in the last 7 days. But realistically, I mean, if you just look at Bitcoin's price itself, it's been so absolutely boring for the last week. It's kind of shocking, right? It's been ridiculous. Look at this just pure flat sideways movement. Absolutely nothing happening whatsoever. Now, while Bitcoin's price has been going sideways like this, though, there has been actually some pretty decent movements from your altcoins. You got things like XRP up 13%, BNB up 8%, Cardano up 13%. You have something like Litecoin pumping 20%. If we jump out of the top 50, you got things like TEL and Cake and OM and S and many more pumping anywhere from 30 to 60%, and some rather strong performances here from the altcoins. Now, none of your major important altcoins, but some of your just kind of random mid-cap altcoins. It's kind of just, again, weird to say the least. Now, as this has been happening, as I mentioned before, a lot of people are wondering, why is this? I mean, why is this the case? Why is Bitcoin so flat and sideways while some random altcoins are just pumping like crazy? Well, I'm under the belief that this is actually a setup to some degree. I believe the reason we are seeing this is that it is allowing for a setup to happen to really dictate the next big directional change for the crypto market. Let me explain. So, what I want to focus in on to kind of explain why this is happening and why we're seeing this odd movement from Bitcoin and altcoins, a lot of imbalance from Bitcoin and altcoins. For me to explain it, I want to look at Bitcoin dominance. Now, if you don't know what Bitcoin dominance is, put very simply, Bitcoin dominance tells you the total percentage of the total market cap that is under the control of Bitcoin. So, say for example, if the total market cap was $100 and Bitcoin's market cap was $73.50, Bitcoin dominance would be 73.5%. It's just a percentage ratio of the total market cap. That is Bitcoin. And what we like to do is we like to look at Bitcoin dominance to get an idea of how Bitcoin is performing against altcoins. Well, over the last couple of weeks, we've really been watching the fact that Bitcoin dominance was setting itself up for a big run, it seemed like. You had this huge cup and handle pattern or Adam and Eve pattern. Some people call it either one. It doesn't really matter. And you also had Bitcoin breaking through this Fibonacci golden zone. Now, without getting too technical, what this means is quite simply, this is a setup for a possible big run for Bitcoin dominance. There seems to be this big structure right here and then this big break of this golden Fibonacci zone to say that, hey, look, we might see Bitcoin really outperforming the rest of the market for a while, especially if it can continue upwards to break through some of these key resistance levels. And of course, as we were watching this and paying very close attention to the fact that Bitcoin dominance was breaking out of these levels, I told you all something very specific. I said, don't be surprised if now that we have used a ton of bullish energy to break through this golden zone, that you start to see altcoins take over for a little while. I made a video roughly 11 or 12 days ago. Go check the video out where I told you this. Listen, we used a lot of bullish energy for Bitcoin to be able to do this. For Bitcoin to be able to outperform the altcoin market like this is not easy. It took a lot of energy and it took a lot of strength. While all altcoins were dumping, Bitcoin stayed flat, meaning that the bulls stayed strong while the altcoin market kind of sold off a little bit. And I told you that took a lot of energy. So don't be surprised if the Bitcoin bulls need a bit of a break. They need a little bit of rest to allow these altcoins to outperform Bitcoin for a little while to get what's called a retest. You see, what happens in the world of crypto a ton is that when an asset, especially a tradable asset, breaks through a resistance zone, that it has to go back in that direction for a little while. I call this like a pit stop, really. Oftentimes, it's really just a pit stop in which, look, you go above a resistance level, you're on this nice little road trip, you're seeing all the sights, and then, man, you use a lot of gas and a lot of energy to get up past this big resistance zone. And so, you know what? Look, we use a lot of energy. We're a little tired right now. Let's stop at the gas station. Let's go get some chips and Slim Jims and Tootsie Rolls or whatever it is that you eat from the gas station, and let's just relax a little bit. And then once we're feeling re-energized and once we're feeling refueled and we got enough gas to make it where we're going, then we're going to continue in the direction that we're heading in. That's oftentimes what a retest looks like. And it is in my general belief that the reason why the crypto, with this example kind of put out there, it is in my belief that the reason why we're seeing the market moving like this, with Bitcoin going sideways and altcoins performing so well, is to allow for Bitcoin dominance to retest. to reset. Because if Bitcoin is going to continue to outperform the market from a more broad perspective, it is going to need periods like this in which altcoins catch back up and kind of pull a little bit of momentum away from Bitcoin as the Bitcoin bulls do relax. And so I don't believe fundamentally anything has really changed in the market at all. I simply believe this is just a normal reset. This is a period for the Bitcoin bulls to relax, for a little liquidity to flow from Bitcoin over into altcoins to allow this market to cool down a little bit, to allow Bitcoin to cool down a little bit before making its next big move. And so that's kind of the answer to the first question. Tyler, why is the market moving like this? Why is Bitcoin so sideways, and why are altcoins performing well? It's not something that fundamentally something changed. It's not that altcoin season started, or at least that's not confirmed yet. It's not any of that. It's quite simply just Bitcoin needed time to reset, and liquidity will naturally shift into the thing that's more exciting in the moment, which was altcoins, because Bitcoin needed to reset and Bitcoin dominance needed to go for this retest. Now, as I mentioned before, the second question that people are going to have is, okay, well, when does this end, right? When do we start to see the market actually doing something? Because, yeah, although some altcoins are doing well, most altcoins are not doing anything. And most people are bored and they're ready for this market to make a move. Well, I'm actually under the belief that that move that you're looking for, that volatility, which is what you want, right? You want the market to just start doing something, which is volatility, is going to be determined by this backtest. You see, a backtest isn't always what I explained it to be, right? A backtest doesn't always just go like, okay, we're going this way, then we go to the gas station, then we continue the road trip. No, sometimes you stop at that gas station and realize you might have caught strep throat, and now you got to go all the way back home, right? Sometimes these backtests fail. Sometimes you don't continue in that direction. Sometimes this is the end of that direction, and then you head back to where you came from, right? And so what that means from a technical perspective is that oftentimes, or not oftentimes because it's not common, but there are times in which you can see these back tests fail, in which something like Bitcoin dominance will actually fake out up here, meaning it's not actually going that way, and it will continue back downwards, in which altcoins will then start to really outperform Bitcoin. Now, again, that's not normal. That's not usually what happens, but it is a possibility. It is a card that's on the table, and it's a decision that has to be made here. Will we see Bitcoin dominance successfully backtest or not successfully backtest? That's the real decision that's being made here. And I think that decision is actually being made very, very soon. And so it's not that you want particularly volatility to just pick up. What you're actually looking for is, when will this decision for Bitcoin dominance be made? Because the whole reason, again, that that the crypto markets looked like this was to allow for this backtest to happen. And Bitcoin and altcoins and everything won't really start moving until this decision is made. I believe everything we've seen for the last 7 to 10 days has purely and specifically been to decide, what is the shift in the market? Are we shifting into a period in which Bitcoin is going to continue to outperform or not? That's what the market's trying to decide, and it's on us to pay attention, to watch very closely as to how that plays out. Now, I'm under the belief that this decision is going to be made very soon. Now, why do I believe that? Well, what I'm going to show you is the fact that one of the most reliable breakout signals in all of crypto's history is actually starting to flash right now. If we head over to the Bitcoin chart and we look at what's called the Bollinger Band width, let me start to paint a picture for what I want to show you. The Bollinger Band width is an indicator that you can use to measure volatility. Do you remember when I told you that you want the market to just do something, and that's volatility? Volatility is just a measure of how crazy the market is. If the market's pumping like crazy or dumping like crazy, that means volatility is really high. If the market's just going very sideways and nothing is happening at all, volatility is very low. And what this blue line is that you see on your screen right now is a representation of volatility. When the blue line is going up, it means things are getting crazier. When the blue line is going down, it means things are getting less crazy. And what I've come to recognize is that you can actually study this blue line to get an idea of when things should start getting crazy. Because history has shown that when this blue line hits below this 30, look, let me kind of pull this up for you. Let me move this up just a little bit, and let's get a line going right there. When this blue line enters into this little range between the 3 and the 1.95 level, the market starts to usually get pretty crazy. Let's look at history. The last couple of times that we saw this blue line or volatility hit this 3 to 1.95 level, we were right here. Look, let's get it right there. And look, actually, let's do this. Let me get rid of that line. There we go. Just so you can see it a little clearer. Boom. We were right there. We were right there. We hit it right there as well. Boom and boom. And let's go see what Bitcoin's price has done while we saw volatility hit these levels. Let's check this out. So the last couple of times that we saw the volatility measurement or the Bollinger Band width hit this 3 to 2 level roughly, let's look at what happened. Right here, it was the last sideways day that we had before the market absolutely dumped on its head. Prior to that, we of course saw it right here, right before the market absolutely dumped, then ripped to the upside. Right here, we saw the market going sideways. It picked up just a little bit before absolutely sending it upwards and then absolutely dumping next. From there, of course, from the next one, we saw it right here, in which the market went a little bit sideways for another week or so before really picking up like crazy, absolutely pumping, absolutely dumping, recovering, then dumping, then picking up, right? So volatility got crazy right after that. And the time before that, the market was going a little bit sideways, stayed in the same little range for a while. And then the second we hit that zone was right when we started to ramp up before picking up in volatility afterwards. So without kind of going over too many examples and boring you, I'm sure you can start to understand what I'm saying. Every time that we see the Bollinger Band width, which is just again a measurement of volatility, hit this little range, we start to see the market get crazy. And I don't believe that it's a coincidence that we are seeing this signal starting to flash in the Bollinger Band width hitting these levels at the same time in which a major decision is about to be made for Bitcoin dominance, which is whether or not Bitcoin starts to outperform the market or whether or not altcoins continue to outperform Bitcoin. And so my general thought process and thesis is that, well, this is going to happen soon. This decision of whether or not Bitcoin is going to retain control of this market is going to happen very soon. And I think probably in this week approaching. And so it's very important that we watch this very, very closely. So although you may have been feeling recently like, hey, the market's boring, nothing's happening, Bitcoin's going sideways, and some altcoins are pumping, but it's hard to predict which altcoins are pumping because they're random. It's not just that boring. It's not that stagnant. There are big things happening in the background right now that are determining the entire sentiment of the market, right? The entire tangibility of, okay, are we going to see Bitcoin going up or are we going to see altcoins outperforming? I mean, the outlook of the market will be determined by what is happening right now, right here on something like Bitcoin dominance. Now, I know the question that you have for me right now, Tyler. You're telling us that volatility is going to pick up, meaning the market's going to get crazy. But what does that mean for prices? Are prices going to go up or are prices going to go down? Now, unfortunately, and I'm sure you know this already, I have no idea what direction this market's going to go in. But I will tell you, it seems more likely to me that in the mid to long term, that this market goes upwards. Short term, I don't know. Mid to long term, I think it goes upwards. Now, the reason that I say that is because of what we are seeing from more of a fundamental perspective. If we look at something like Bitcoin liquidations, what we can see here is that there are currently nearly $12 billion or about 11.5, 11.4, 11.5 billion dollars worth of liquidations to the upside. What this means is that if Bitcoin's price goes up, nearly $11 billion will be liquidated of long or short traders who are betting that this market will go down. You all know that I always basically believe that this market will go generally in the direction of the most liquidations. So if more people will be liquidated if the market goes up, that's usually where the market goes. If more people will be liquidated if the market goes down, that's usually where the market goes. And so considering the fact that there are this many liquidations to the top side, it feels more likely to me that eventually we will see the market push upwards to start liquidating all these people. In addition to that, what you can see is a couple things that are happening from more of a back-end perspective. Your RSI heat map on something like the 24-hour is now showing that most cryptos are either in the neutral zone or below, meaning that most cryptos are oversold or they've been sold too much. They went too low too fast, and history says that usually you can't see some sort of recovery once the market does enter into the zone. That's the case on the 24-hour. It's also the case on the weekly. The weekly RSIs are showing that all of these cryptos are very, very, very low and in good buying positions. If you do look at CoinMarketCap, we are teetering on the edge of this market being in fear right now. We're at the very bottom of the neutral zone. And generally speaking, when you are in the bottom half of your fear and greed index, it is a decent time to be doing some purchasing on things like cryptos, like altcoins, mid caps, and majors as well. And so considering that most of your cryptos are oversold, the market's not in greed, and there are a ton of liquidations to the upside, it seems to me as if there is a decent opportunity that this market can push upwards and go up when that volatility does pick up, which would imply that Bitcoin dominance very likely does successfully backtest and continues upwards, which is normally what happens. And so with that in mind, I'm not betting, again, because in the short term, I don't know on what's going to happen, but it does feel to me as if there is a decent size and pretty sizable chance that we do see this crypto market start pushing upwards in the correct direction. Now, I will warn you, of course, the reason why I'm not just, buying everything, because you may say, well, if the market should go up, why wouldn't you be buying a lot right now? The reason I'm not is because remember, we're still in an HMZ, and an HMZ is a high manipulation zone. It's a level where you can expect all types of stuff to happen, crazy pumps and crazy dumps, liquidity hunts, and much more. And I know trading in here, doing any big purchases in here is a trap. These sorts of zones, these HMZs are built against you. They're built for you to lose. And if you start making big decisions in here thinking that you know better than the market and that you know what's going to happen, you're very probably going to lose. Because, for example, what could happen is that, we go look at liquidation maps. Hey, you look at the 30-day, although there are more liquidations to the top side, if this market falls to $90,000, nearly $4.5 billion will be liquidated. So who's to say that this market doesn't just absolutely send it downwards, come back towards 90,000, retest the bottom side of this HMZ, and then use this as support, gather even more short traders to trap right here, and then send it back upwards, liquidating all of them, just like we did back here. Who's to say that doesn't happen? Because the setup is perfect for that to happen. And so because of that, no, although it does feel to me as if in the mid to long term we should go upwards, I'm not going to be betting on that because in the short term, I know there will be traps laid out everywhere and I don't want to fall into one of them. And so I am just going to be doing a very, very, very simple strategy right now. I'm going to allow this HMZ to play out. I'm going to buy if the market does dump towards some of these lower levels. And if we do pump back up in between $103,000 and $108,000, I'm going to take some profits off the table. It's what I have been doing consistently throughout this entire zone. It's worked for me now, and it's going to continue to work for me until we break out of this, at which point I will just figure it out from there. And so I know this was a bit of a longer video, but I really wanted to break it down to the core for you, why all of this is happening and what's going on. And to kind of summarize it a little bit, the reason why Bitcoin's price has been so sideways while some altcoins are performing well is to allow for the reset here for Bitcoin dominance. Once this reset is complete and the retest is complete, it's going to tell us the direction in which crypto is likely going to go in. Is Bitcoin going to outperform alts or are alts going to outperform Bitcoin? And that decision seems to be on the way as a result of the fact that our major breakout signals are starting to flash, showing us that volatility is likely inbound. And so it's our job and it's our duty to watch this very closely and have a good understanding of what direction this market starts to move in, because it is going to start to really paint the picture of what the next big move for crypto is going to be. And hey, hopefully that is one where it goes upwards and we can lock in some pretty solid gains. Now, overall, I will let you guys know as we do conclude this video a little bit here. I did actually post basically this entire video broken down very simply over in our school earlier. And if you do want to check out the school, let me tell you a little bit about it before we go ahead and go here. Over in the school, we have a ton of stuff going on and you can get access to all of my thoughts, my insights, my beginner's portfolio I created recently, my ideas when I'm buying things, when I'm selling things, and much more. And that also includes other people like Connor Kenny's thoughts and insights, Aaron Bennett's, some of our different coaches, and much more. Guys, our mission and our goal at the school is very simple. We take crypto investors like yourselves. We give you courses, coaching classes, live streams, workshops, signals, research, Q&As, insights, and much more to help you refine your strategies. Because quite frankly, guys, if you're trying to trade in this market these days without a strategy, you're going to lose. Our members, on the other hand, make gains. Even on days like today, even on days like yesterday, we see gains all over the place. If we go to the community gains chat, for example, I can just scroll up and you can see we have people shorting the market making money, longing the market making money. And this is quite simply because you have to develop strategies that work for you. And that's kind of that's what we help push people towards, is developing strategies that work for them. It's the reason why a guy like Jay can put in, a $1,200 gain just that quick. It's the reason why you can't see 300%, 400% gains over and over and over again here in this community, is because it's all about strategy. And don't get me wrong, people take losses and we learn from those losses and use them as lessons, as you can see here. But we have a community that's absolutely locked in, over 2,000 members now, all of them working in the same direction of making money in the world of crypto through all of these things we provide them. And look, the best part about it is that if you don't like the community, you can get your money back guaranteed. And it does start with as little as $5 a month. So if you do want to check it out, I did open up one more executive tier earlier this morning for all of you who want to check that out. But I would say, starting at that $5, $17 a month tier, a very good place to start if you do want to just check the school out and see what you see. In addition to that, if you do want to start trading today, although I'm personally not leverage trading at all, you can check out my link to BTCC down below, and they will give you a 10% bonus on all first time deposits. What this means is that if you deposit anything between $500 to $100,000, they give you 10%. So let's say you deposit $3,000, they'll give you $300 back on the spot to start trading with, and whatever gains you make from that $300 are yours to keep. It's a fantastic platform, a ton of different options, very smooth, very clean. So if you want to check that out again, I will link that down there below for you. And last but not least, of course, if you do want to go check out and get even more information from me over on Twitter, it is at Tyler Hill YT, where I post a bunch of more analysis and all that good stuff as well. And so with that in mind, again, sorry for such a long video here. I try to keep my videos usually between 10 and 15 minutes, but I had a lot to unpack for you all today. But it is going to be very important that we watch this decision that does get made here for Bitcoin dominance, and we watch very closely what starts happening with Bitcoin's price in this HMZ, because I do again expect we are going to see this market really picking up in volatility in this coming week, and that's going to tell us a lot about what the future of this market looks like. And so as it does play out, I will continue to update you all. Just make sure that you do smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another video, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.